Okay, Reino. Okay, hi everyone. We're live now. Reino, we have 500 people watching the live stream. They were waiting. So that's absolutely wonderful. Thank you everyone for coming in for this live stream this evening. And Reino, I don't know if you know, but earlier today there were actually 700 people that came on in a live stream in the middle of the day. I never expected it. So the people were very, very eager to get information. And I really want to thank you to come for coming on again onto the channel Double Des. It's Reino de Beer, the president of the Liberty Fighters Network. And thank you all for coming online again and being part of this live stream. So Reino, what has your day been like?
Well, as usual, extremely busy. We had a very challenging meeting this afternoon or earlier today, but it worked out very well. And there's quite a lot of positive things. I'm really a positive person, so there's a lot of positive things I believe will be happening within the next couple of weeks. It depends on the attitude that the people of South Africa is going to have, but surely yes. Let's take it further.
Yes, Reino, we almost have 700 people watching now. This is absolutely incredible. So the people are really interested in what is happening. 680 odd people, well, there's 690. So the people are coming on really fast. And people, please share. There were over 700 now, Reino. So we're breaking records here. 724, it's just increasing all the time. So people are really keen to hear what happened with regards to Friday's judgment. You know, I spoke to the people earlier about Cyril Ramaphosa saying that he's going to be speaking to the nation this week, and many people are nervous. Any thoughts on that, Reino, from your side before we get into the nuts and bolts?
Well, by now we should know the attitude and the tactics this government is constantly using to create fear amongst the people. I've been saying this a couple of times before, that this whole COVID-19 crisis that they have created in South Africa is nothing more than creating fear and making us obedient to listen to unconstitutional and invalid instructions. So there's obviously, and I believe you have also spoken to the people on numerous occasions,
yes,
that we are living in very interesting times. And what I'm going to share again with all of you is just going to emphasize how interesting times this really is. And well, I would like to share, and obviously if there's any questions first, let me answer it.
Yeah, but at this stage, Reino, I think as usual, we're almost at 900 viewers. I can't believe that so many people have tuned in. You know, I'm not a live stream buff, and I'm also not a professional YouTuber, so all of this is very new to me, and I'm sure to you as well. We've just gone over 900 people listening. So Reino, Friday, there was a judgment that came out. You sent it to me. I've read the judgment, but I want you from a legal perspective to explain to the people of South Africa the best way that you can what actually the judgment means and what Liberty Fighters Network is doing to fight for the people on the ground.
This is one of the judgments that will probably go off in history as one of the most interesting ones, because not only did the judge sort of given us direction of what to do, but one can see clearly that there are I would say, strange things happening behind the curtains. Unfortunately, our judiciary is part and parcel of this, all these things that are currently happening. Our organization had its root cause or its roots in exposing corruption and irregularities within the judiciary and the legal system of South Africa. And we are extremely excited of what has happened and what will happen henceforth. To cut to the chase, our application, our so-called implementation application, the section 18.3 application, together with the application for leave to cross appeal on the basis of challenging the national state of disaster declaration, have been refused. But it's not what was in the judgment, but what was not in the judgment that is very important. There was no cost order. The judge said, no, this is a sincere application, or these applications were sincere. But strangely enough, when you work with a sort of, with an interpretation application, it tells you, or there's a specific prescription of what should be or what should be proven. One of those things is that there must be exceptional circumstances, and we all know that COVID-19 is nothing more than exceptional circumstances. Then, secondly, you must prove that you're going to suffer irreparable harm, and that the other party, the government, is not going to suffer any irreparable harm. And then the court obviously have the discretion, a bit this side and a bit that side. But interestingly, all our main arguments that we have put to the court on the 26th of August, and many of you have seen the hearing on live stream. But all the important ones have not been dealt with at all.
Yeah.
Those were obviously...
They're all missing.
They are missing.
Yeah.
They are missing. It's as if it was never raised at all.
Yes.
So, firstly, we need to go back to the original court orders and the judgments that were given on the 2nd of June, and the other one was on the 30th of June, where Judge Davis came out very quickly, within a couple of days, I think 4 or 5 days, to give his judgment. But this one, strangely enough, took something like 2 months, almost 2 months. The hearing was on the 26th of August, and we received it on the 23rd of October. So now it was almost 2 months. Today it would have been 2 months to the day. And what was very interesting is that we know Judge Davis as a very, very thorough person. We've learned in his way of handling this case, and out of experience looking at other judgments that he did in other cases as well. He's quite thorough with his work, so it is totally uncommon for him to wait for almost 2 months to give a judgment, and secondly, to give a judgment that really says basically nothing. We've tried to look at why he actually did or he refused the applications, and we couldn't get to any valid reason why it was. So that immediately sparked us out of experience, and this is why it was necessary for me to explain to people what is going to happen and what we have already done today. That is very exciting what we did today. But before I get to that exciting point, when a judge doesn't want to make a decision, this is a typical judgment where he didn't want to make a decision on his own, and he knew for a fact that we would have taken it on appeal, which we have. We have lodged our appeal this morning. It is, in terms of the law, the Superior Courts Act, Section 18.4.2, it is an automatic appeal. We don't have to get permission or leave from the court to appeal. It's an automatic appeal that we get to a full bench of 3 judges on an extremely urgent basis, meaning that this appeal must be finished as far as possible. Out of my own personal experience dealing with these types of applications, within the next 2 weeks it must be finished. So if it was lodged today, the chances that we can even have our appeal by the end of this week, we are praying that it is, but we don't foresee that the appeal is going to be heard after Friday next week. We don't foresee it. Otherwise, the court would not adhere to the principles of extreme urgency that is specifically laid out in the Act itself. Now, when we take this whole matter of ours, and especially people, remember what I've said, that we thoroughly believe, and we are saying this everywhere we are going, that we believe that our order of the 2nd of June already came into operation on the 24th of June. Because we said, and we relied on a previous constitutional court case called the Nuclex case of 2005, in which we believe the constitutional court specifically said that even if the government has lodged an application for leave to appeal, because it was a declaration of constitutional invalidity, there is no suspension of the period. And then we said on a second way that even if the court might find that the Nuclex case is not applicable in our case, in terms of Section 18.2 of the Superior Courts Act, it says that an order, an interlocutory type or interim type of order, is not suspended pending the outcome of the appeal. We know now that the order that was granted by Judge Davis was actually an interim order, because it stipulated that the minister had to fix within 14 business days all these regulations and report back to court, meaning that she had to come back to court for the court to obviously grant an additional relief if need to. That process, we know, did not happen because the minister assumed that the moment when they've lodged the leave application, everything stopped. But it was not a final order. It was not an order which had a final effect, meaning that it is firstly not appealable, and secondly, the order has not been suspended pending the leave application or the appeal of the matter. In our case on the 26th of August, we've argued this, and it raised definite attention from Judge Davis. He actually had this very nice smile on his face when he said that, and even Advocate Tringo for the minister basically said that in not so many words, but he said that there could be a possibility that the order or the Disaster Management Act regulations are no longer in force. And then he said that the application of Section 18.3 is basically moot because it has already been invalidated from the 24th of June. So now we are sitting with a judge we know for a fact is very bright.
Yeah.
We know for a fact that he wrote excellent judgment to such an extent that even the academics don't specifically know by now already what is going on. And I've said on the previous live stream that we have cleared this with a constitutional law professor at the University of Tikkies as well, in which we explained to him our view of this whole situation, and he basically concurred and he admitted that there is definitely leverage for us to succeed in our argument. And because of the technicality of this whole argument, which will have a tremendous effect on the people of South Africa, I believe that Justice Davis did the right thing and the responsible thing by writing his judgment in such a way that it doesn't make any sense, so that we can take it on appeal, and so that 3 judges can determine this, who are totally independent, and it's an appeal. So this whole case was based and put in a packet for us to tell us that now you know what to do, Liberty Fighters Network. Go and finalize this case for once and for all before a panel of 3 judges, so that this whole thing can go to rest for once and for all. That is what we truly believe has happened here. Now, the interesting thing is that when I had a discussion with our advisors, we thought of what are we going to do. So we came to the conclusion, and I'm not afraid to say this on a live stream. We said, you know what, if the judiciary has been playing games with us all along, throughout this whole process, and we have been plastered against the walls of the court, and we can't go further, why don't we go for the bullet, for the bullseye, and we challenge, as we did in our notice, the constitutionality of holding virtual hearings during the course of lockdown. Okay. We have now put it before the court, before a bench, to say that we are challenging the constitutionality of each and every virtual hearing that took place during this whole lockdown, virtually through a laptop computer, because the Constitution, Section 34, specifically say that a hearing must be in open court. A virtual hearing is not in open court. And secondly, we said that the Superior Courts Act, Section 32, specifically say that it must be in open court. And having these virtual hearings all the time, as we were forced in the last time, so that we couldn't get the television cameras in the court, so that there can be people watching and observing what is going on. We have been totally, this whole process was done in secrecy, basically. The whole government was hoping that our case is not advanced, and now we are forcing them to have an open court hearing to challenge the virtual hearing that we had. We are saying that it seems to us as if the communication broke down during the course of our arguments, because clearly Justice Davis did not hear numerous of our arguments, because we know that, because it's not in his judgment, and he was supposed to handle it.
Yeah.
So now we are basically putting this judiciary of us on terms, and we are saying that if you don't want to do the respectable thing and the right and just thing, we are, as the people, will come for the throat and totally throw away this whole legal system we are busy advancing during and have created during the course of lockdown. Only us, only Liberty Fighters Network could have challenged the virtual hearings, because we know that legal practitioners love the virtual hearings. It's comfortable for them, and as members of the legal fraternity in South Africa, they are very much happy to support the directives which Judge Mlambo has put out in his directives to basically force everyone to go for a virtual hearing, even though private litigants, layman litigants who are not represented by this, like we did and like we were, don't always have the access and the luxury of having these virtual hearings. We had to go out of our way to accommodate Mr. Trengove, who objected to the fact that we wanted an open court hearing. So thanks to Mr. Trengove, we did get a virtual hearing, and because we have a virtual hearing, thanks to Mr. Trengove, we are now challenging the virtual hearings as it should, and we are sick and tired of being manipulated by this government. We know for a fact that there has been strange things happening behind our backs with the judiciary all the time, and the judiciary has not come to the party to show us that they are able to protect the Constitution for the people of South Africa. And if they are not capable of protecting the Constitution, which have been totally abused and manipulated by this ANC government and the 13 million political parties, we are putting the judiciary on terms to say that we as the people will now make the decisions of how you as the courts will forthwith operate to advance the Constitution in our favour and not yours. That is our attitude, and as I've said, that a legal practitioner could never have done this, because it would have meant that he has transgressed his ability and his duty to protect the legal fraternity of South Africa. And as we have said before, this legal fraternity of South Africa is the cause of all the problems we in South Africa are experiencing today. They have basically taken the courts, and they have this self-entitlement over our courts, which belongs to the people of South Africa. And we have come to the conclusion, no more. Now, this court from henceforth will operate in the way that the people will do.
I like the fact that
so yes, I've seen said a lot. Desmond, any questions specifically
I like the fact that
I
you
need
say,
to answer?
Yeah, I like the fact that you say, Reino, that the courts are the people's courts, and that's why people should have open courts where they can sit and look the judge in the eye, look the state attorneys in the eye, because you were fighting there for the people. So without the people there present, how can it be fair and constitutional? They are hiding behind screens, and I totally agree with you. This is definitely something that needs to be attacked, and I thank you for making that decision to actually attack the fact that these cases are heard while they're hiding behind computer screens. So it's very important that we absolutely do this. Now, just one question I want to ask you, and this is with regards to the initial case where Judge Davis only gave leave to appeal on the blanket ban with level 3 and 4. Now we can move back to level 3 and 4, and in the judgment he said that it's possible. He even said it's possible that we are more restricted with some things under level 1 of the lockdown. And I try and tell people that don't forget we are still under lockdown. Our president has said that this is the new normal, that we are still under lockdown. So I have read the judgment, and you're 100% correct. The judge made no mention of any of the things that you were asking for. None of them.
Yes.
And this was absolutely masks or relief for people that can't work. Nothing was there. So it's almost as if he said, I can't make this judgment. It needs to go on appeal so that you can actually do this in front of 3 judges, a full bench. Now, can you perhaps explain to the people what that means in real terms?
Okay, firstly, we need to reprogram ourselves as well, because, and luckily, what Justice Davis have done very well in this judgment, he confirmed that irrespective of whether we are in level 3, 2, 1, it comes from the same DNA, namely the regulations that were promulgated on the 29th of April, that were just constantly amended. So the regulations that were declared,
and he admitted that they were changing on the fly in the judgment.
And he then also in this judgment he said that it's part and parcel of the same regulations, meaning that it's when you declare the regulations in terms of or the DMA regulations of 29 April, which is the new set after the ones of 18 March have been repealed and replaced by the ones on the 29th of April. There were only amendments to this set. So if, irrespective of whether we are at level 2 or level 1, the moment when this court on appeal is going to go for the throat and say that since the 24th of June that the regulations are not valid anymore, it includes all the others, levels 2 and level 1 as well, because it is out of the same set. We have forgotten that in the regulations of the 29th of April have actually gotten rid of the lockdown. The lockdown has not been mentioned in the 29th of April set because it was referred to specifically. The lockdown meant the regulations before the 29th of April. Of April. So we were only in levels, and it was identified in the beginning of the regulations as there will be level 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, and we started at level 4. So, and every time when there was a change, they just basically almost on an immediate basis told us that we're going to go over. So irrespective of the fact of that these regulations have been in place since the 29th of April, how many months have gone past up till now since the 29th of April, but until today a level 5 have not been created. Why? We need to ask ourselves, why have they started with level 4, going back to level 1, but the key thing that they have said they will create, the level 5, has never been created. It's not there. We only assume, as I have followed social media, that people are saying, the president is going to say that we're going back to level 3 or level 5. Those who are saying that we are going back to level 5 clearly don't know anything about these regulations, and the person who told them are basically idiots. Sorry to say that. Because the level 5, which they believe is going to be as we experienced before the 29th of April. But sadly, we still don't know how the level 5 regulations will turn out to be. I have said the previous occasion that there is good indication that the government is busy preparing itself to move over from the Disaster Management Act and its way of doing under the the Kochta minister, and move it over to the Health Act under Dr. Mkhize.
Yes.
And it seems as if I understand a certain parliamentarian correctly, as I've communicated with her yesterday, it seems as if those regulations, those amendments that Dr. Mkhize proposed last week or the week before, it seems as if that has been approved.
Yes.
So it is waiting now for implementation at the right spot. And as I've said before, I believe that they expected that the judge would have cut the DMO regulations on Friday and move it over to, so that they can immediately come in and move it over to the health regulations.
Yeah.
But luckily for them, it did not happen, but they surely know if the senior advocate and his entourage of three advocates who are following him around should have informed the government by now that it's indicative that the judgment we received gave us the go-ahead and pleading to us to please take it before 3 judges now. So now the government knows, we know that there was indication until today that the Cyril Ramaphosa, our so-called president, if he still bears that name or that title, will be talking to us again later this week.
Yes.
There's already pushing to second waves and stuff like that.
Heavy
but
pushing.
I don't think that the government is ready at this stage to announce a level 3 or a so-called level 5 at this stage.
I
think they will wait. It's my honest opinion that they will have to wait for this appeal to be finalized before they can make any further changes. And then I forgot, the leave application to cross appeal was also a very interesting one, because we, as you could remember, that we were late in filing the leave application.
That's right.
So we had to bring a condonation application asking the court that the fact that we filed it late should be condoned or excused. That's a better, more acceptable word. And we had it, the judge made mention of this. He actually called it another type of very interesting name that he called it what was the word? It wasn't a condonation application, but I forgot it, but you'll see it when you read it. But he said, we didn't actually advance a very good excuse for being late, and he had to go into the merits, and based on the merits he decided that we will not have permission to leave to appeal this national state of disaster declaration. But luckily he made it in such a way that we don't have, when we go to the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court of Appeal, we don't have, and to lodge that leave application, to ask leave from the Supreme Court, we don't have to submit a condonation application as well. Because he already said that he has refused the application for leave to appeal, so he bypassed the condonation in dealing with that totally. So that is also a very nice thing that he did. in order to give us the go ahead to do this.
Yes.
So so all in all, we are extremely happy. We are not we don't see this as a negativity at all. This is all positive for us, because if it did not happen, we would never have had the opportunity to put the case on a very urgent basis before 3 judges.
Yes.
If the route through the Supreme Court of Appeal is extremely lengthy, and we can be stuck in the Supreme Court of Appeal for literally months, if not years, really, because unfortunately, after we can appear before 5 judges of the Supreme Court of Appeal within the next month or 2, but the problem is that they can deliberate on the outcome of that judgment for several months, and just one day inform us we're going to hand down the judgment, which could be even a year down the line. So unfortunately, this is our only shot now to get justice quickly, and this is now before 3 judges, and we are taking the people's case to them now, and we are putting them now on terms to say that, let's be frank, you are the servants of the people, and you are servants in the court of the people, and now we are putting this predicament, this problem in front of your feet, and you need to deal with it, because anyone can see that these regulations and how they have treated us, and the mask wearing and all that crap, are unconstitutional through and through. You don't have to be a lawyer or a legal expert to know that. And yes, let's see what's going to happen. We're very happy. We will keep everyone up to date with the progress in this, and very key, sorry, this is the other thing, because Judge President Mlambo created the directives which facilitate the virtual hearings, he by law needs to recuse himself and cannot be part of the panel. As we know in all the other cases of FITA, the Freedom Front, the DA, blah 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 blah, he has been the middle point of all these courts, these full courts, and this time he will not be able to be there. So it must be a new group of 3 judges who are dealing with this issue, and sadly for Judge President Mlambo, this time he will not be legally part of this problem, because he cannot adjudicate a matter where his own practice directives are before this court and challenged on constitutional basis, and we believe that that could be the key at the end of the day. Let's just see what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, I think that's quite important. And there's so many things. Sometimes there's so many blessings in disguise. Like you said, after I read the judgment as well, it was clear that Judge Davis didn't want to make rulings on those specific items, and that he probably believed it was better for it to be before a full bench, so that he doesn't have to take the rap for it. But something else that we can talk about is the fact that you received a letter back on your request for a judicial commission of inquiry.
Yeah, no, we didn't expect it. Supporters, if you can still remember that a couple of weeks back we said that we wrote a letter to the president asking him to investigate himself, you remember, but we've referred to his links and the direct links we saw from the influence the Rupert and Oppenheimer families had in the decision-making processes of the cabinet before the hard lockdown was announced. So we did in fact receive a formal letter back from them saying that the president is currently in consultation with the Minister of Justice because the creation of the judicial commissions of inquiry are actually the responsibility of the Minister of Justice, and once the Minister of Justice have evaluated the situation, he will then come back and the President will then respond to our letter. So that is very good because we know now that there is a consultation process going on to discuss it, and he is now considering, so he is making an executive decision in the same process to respond whether there will be a commission of inquiry or not. I think we can expect that they are going to try and delay this whole process as long as possible, but they have already committed themselves that they are busy considering this. So we are busy putting a lot of pressure on the presidency at this stage to ensure that they come up with a decision as a matter of urgency, and if they don't, we accept that they have made a decision that they will not do it, so that we can go to court and challenge the decision-making process of this executive decision that the president decided not to have this commission, even though there are more than sufficient reasons why this commission should be commissioned, and we'll see what's going to happen. So there's a lot of interesting things happening. The other thing we are busy with is that our team, our medical and science expert team, is growing by the day. We are busy looking at challenging the PCR testings that are currently happening to evaluate that the court must make a decision whether those PCR tests are valid and whether it can be actually used to diagnose COVID-19, because we know that the PCR test cannot be used as a diagnostic tool, because the diagnosis must be done by the medical practitioner who's dealing with each and every case. So at this stage, the moment when that case is positive, it's automatically regarded as a COVID-19 case, even if the patient is asymptomatic, meaning that there is no symptoms. So you can only have a disease if there are symptoms, and this whole process and this we don't have a pandemic, we have a testemic. People are using the increasing of the tests to diagnose at the end of the day a disease, and by medical terms that cannot happen.
Yeah.
So we are busy having that group, and then, as I've said, sadly, because of the judgment that we were waiting for, and also the work that we are also doing in the meantime, we have not yet published our link for those who have suffered damages because of the lockdown. As I've said before, we will have that link available as soon as possible. Just go to our website on a regular basis, go and check in. As I've said, that if you are one, and most probably all of you, if you have suffered loss your job, lost your income, lost your business, was your dignity have been violated, your freedom have been violated, etc., etc. You are a definitely someone who can claim for damages, and we have set up a structure in which you can register with us, and we as Liberty Fighters Network will then ultimately take your case as a class action to the High Court and get compensation as far as possible for all who have suffered. It's going to be by far the biggest claim,
Class action
civil
ever.
claim ever in South Africa, and so that is also something very positive. I've said enough.
Yeah, I just want
Any
to.
questions?
Yeah, just one more thing. One of the ladies asked, Rhino, people are fed up of wearing masks, and I know one of the things you asked for Judge Davis is to make a judgment or ruling on masks. That obviously didn't happen. He didn't mention any of those things. What would you tell people at this stage about the wearing of masks?
Well, the wearing of masks, anyone who relies on our 2nd of June judgment can use that to defy any lockdown regulations. You cannot be by law as long as you rely on that 2nd of June judgment, and you can get it directly from our website. You cannot be criminally prosecuted or successfully criminally prosecuted. We've said that we cannot guarantee you that you will not be arrested when it comes to that point, but at least we can almost guarantee you that the court hearing that matter will not be able to find you guilty.
That's
because
right.
there is no intention to break the rules or the regulations, as long as you've got a court order saying that there are no DMA regulations. The other interesting thing that we have highlighted is, in terms of the Regulation of Gatherings Act, when you are a demonstrator, meaning that you are one or maximum 15 people.
Listen up, people, this is important.
Very, very important. So in terms of the Regulation of Gatherings Act of 1993, if you are a demonstrator, you by law, by that same act, and that is section 8(7) of that act, you are not allowed to wear a mask if you are a demonstrator. If you are found to be a demonstrator of anything, you can physically walk into a place and say that I'm a demonstrator and I don't like the prices you are charging to the people, Pick and Pay, for example, and you don't wear your mask, and you identify yourself as a demonstrator. By law, they cannot say that you are transgressing the DMA regulations, because the Regulation of Gatherings Act, Section 8(7) says that if you are a demonstrator, you may not wear a mask. So, and if you are wearing a mask while you are a demonstrator, like for example, wearing a t-shirt with some sort of inscription, some rebellious inscription at the back, and you just identify yourself, I am a demonstrator, and by law I'm not allowed to wear a mask, you may not wear a mask because you can be found guilty of a crime if you are a demonstrator and you are wearing a mask. And the interesting thing, section 14(1) of that same act says that where any law is irreconcilable with this act, this act will prevail, meaning that the DMA regulations automatically have no authority if you are a demonstrator. So any one of you who refuse to wear a mask, from now on, you just simply identify yourself. I am a demonstrator, and wherever you go, just say that by law I am not allowed to wear a mask, otherwise I will be found, I'm committing a criminal offense if I am wearing this mask, and the Disaster Management Act regulations in any event have no effect on me because of the fact that the Regulation of Gatherings Act prevail. It's superior
It
to the
overrides,
Disaster
yes.
Management Act.
Yeah.
So this is a way of totally sidestepping this whole mask wearing crap. And the more we can enforce that and go to police stations and say that I am a permanent demonstrator against the government, I refuse to wear my mask. By law, I may not wear a mask, otherwise, it's a criminal offense. So, what are you going to do about it? They must back down. They must back down. So, that is a very interesting thing that people can work on. For all your activists out there, go and get a copy of the Regulation of Gatherings Act of 1993. Go and investigate it. Go and see what is meant by a demonstrator, a demonstration, and also what is meant by gathering. Any gathering above 15 people is regarded as a gathering for which you must, it's not a matter that you must get permission from the city or from the local authority to have your gathering. It's a matter that you are informing them that you will have a gathering or a protest at a certain stage, at least 7 days in the future. It's the authority, the local authority does not have the right, as long as you are adhering to all the prescriptions of the Regulation of Gatherings Act. By law, they may not refuse you to have a gathering. They may not do it. And I repeat, when you have a gathering as well, you are a protester, and by law you may not wear a mask. You may not wear a mask to a gathering, irrespective of what the Disaster Management Act regulations are telling you, because the police knows that Section 87 specifically say that you may not wear a mask. And what is the reason behind it? Because it is an anti-terrorism and an anti-hooligan mechanism, so that you can easily be identified in case you actually doing things that you are not supposed to. So this whole COVID-19 is most probably a international military exercise that is currently happening. But in South Africa, it has actually, you don't know whether it's the dog wagging its tail or the tail wagging the dog. Because now the same things that they have implemented way back in 1993 for anti-terrorism and anti-hooliganism have now actually come to slap them in their faces to say that now we are using this against your COVID-19 mechanism, and you can only change this if Parliament is going to change the Regulation of Gatherings Act. Which is a major process to follow and will take months to complete. It's not a quick fix process. So we are saying, people, get yourself Regulation of Gatherings Act. From now on, we as the people of South Africa are demonstrators and protesters, and there's nothing that this government can further do to us, because we are doing exactly what they are telling us in their own legislation. It's just their stupidity that they have not thought of the Regulation of Gatherings Act, that we can now actually do what we're planning to do. From now on, things will change. We are telling people left, right, and center to stop to be afraid. Fear, this is all these messages that we are getting from the government. Of we going to go back to level 3 and to level 5 and to level 20 and 30 or whatever the case may be. It's only to create fear.
Yeah.
They want us to be worried that you're going to be arrested. People, if 62 million people in South Africa stop wearing their masks, you don't have to be afraid. Just like you don't have to be afraid of this so-called terrifying COVID-19 disease, which still does not have any scientific proof to say that it's there. I don't want to go into that. That is something for a medical expert to go into. But it's time that we wake up. We stop to follow people who are putting us in a total wrong track. And there I mean all these. There are a million of these Boer Republic parties at this stage. I'm not referring to anyone specifically, but all over these white people, minority groups are now popping up. People, what they are doing is that they are creating division amongst the people of South Africa. And they are creating fear. They are instigating a war. They want us to have a war with EFF. Julius Malema is just sitting there as an MI6 agent, and he is dictating to his people, hoping that they're going to follow wherever he is directing them. But sadly for him, they are not following him. They are not doing what he is telling them to do, and that is a great thing. We are saying that it's not up to us to take out Mr. Julius Malema, and I'm not saying take out in a violent form, but out of the equation to be a politician and to have so much say, whether we can put him in jail or whatever the case may be. Let the members of the EFF sort out Mr. Julius Malema himself. Many of them have realized by now that Julius is not the leader they thought he was. With all these VBS and all those strange transactions and his Armani shoes and staying with multimillionaires and what the case may be, he's
being
not
friends with the people
the
they call
socialist.
Yeah.
He's not the leader they thought he was. They are all waking. The black African people in South Africa are far more clued up with the reality as the white people in South Africa. Sorry to say this, sorry to break your bubbles, but that is a fact. You will, when you go to a township, you will see no one wearing a mask, but the moment when you go into a white area, every single one is wearing a mask inside their cars. People, wake up. Really, this is not rocket science. This is logic that we are dealing with each and every day. Don't be someone with a very long pedigree and Oxford degrees that you think you can have on your pocket and show everyone and brag that you are a doctor and a professor and whoever. But when it comes to basic logic, like the wearing of the mask, you are stupid and you think that you can the others who are not wearing it, they are the ones putting your life in danger, but actually you have been putting the lives of those who don't want to be obedient to this communist regime of ours. You are putting their lives into danger by being obedient. We must stop being obedient to this total rogue government of ours, who have showed millions of times that they don't care what the Constitution and the African Charter are saying. They will do whatever it pleases them to make our lives a living hell, and they will continue doing it until that time you, as the person, withdraw your power that you have been giving to them and remove it and start claiming your own power. That's all.
Well, I think that's quite important, Reino, what you've just said. The fact that the people need to take their own power back, and I think people have forgotten that if you want to deserve a democracy, you need to live in a way that makes you worthy of a democratic country, which we are not. I mean, we're in an absolute communist system right now. And for us to have a good leader one day, we need to live in a way to deserve a good leader, because I don't think at this stage we deserve one. And we need to create the circumstances under which those leaders can come to the fore. Because I haven't seen any leaders that's going to lead this country in future away from all the new world order ideologies out there, which is something I focus on this channel. That's going to take us away from that. That person cannot come to the fore right now. It's not possible. So we need to change our lives. So it's 100% correct.
Definitely.
What advice would you give for people right now with regards to their home situation? Each person, as a South African, what advice would you give to people right now, considering the court cases, the time that it's taken, that we're still in level 1 lockdown? What advice would you give people?
The first advice is put your children first. And those of you who really can, try and put your children in homeschooling. Really, I've taken my children out of school, and I'm doing the homeschooling thing now. I'm very happy that I've made that decision to take them out of this propaganda machine that is constantly programming them in a certain direction. That's the first and the most important thing that I will mention. Secondly, go and care for the elderly. They have been so tremendously abused the past couple of months, really. Go to your mother and father in the old age home, and if you can, take them out of there. Rather make the plan. I've been told by so many black South Africans, and I hate to use color, but unfortunately I need to just differentiate. You know, in the African cultures, they have a belief that you need to look after your mum and dad until they die, and you as the child is your parents are your responsibility up till the day they pass away. And what we as white people are doing, our lives are so busy, we are just thinking about money and just being sheep all the time, going to work and coming back in the and don't even have time for your families. And we just want to put our old age mothers and fathers in an old age home. That tradition must stop. Really, that is something that we need to get rid of. And then rely on your religion. Don't, if you have been brought up in a specific religion, like I am, by now everyone knows that I'm a dedicated Christian. I go out and tell everyone it, and the good things and that God has been doing to us since we've started with this mission over a couple of years until we've reached today. Go out and make your religion the centerpiece of holding your family together. Whether you are Muslim or a Jew or a Christian or a Buddhist or whoever you are, go and serve your religion and don't go out of the parameters your religion have set for you. Don't let it be negotiable. If your church doesn't want to allow you to have a mask, or to still want you to wear a mask and have social distancing, rather do as I do and have your sacred day at home. Because I honestly can't go to church to see that there's people don't have faith, as I believe they simply don't. Those are the three key issues I would say people should do at this stage for their homes. And Desmond, yeah, just a final thing. You have touched on the leadership. I just thought about the also social media thing that is going around with a list of leaders, and they are put in by the certain doctor who's circulating it. And I've communicated with some of those people on the list, and they say they don't know what it's about. They're not even part of that. So these people are putting names there with the belief that they will be so-called leaders. But you know, a leader is not chosen. A leader is followed. That is what I believe. The moment when a person is really a leader, the people will automatically follow that person, whoever he or she is. You don't have to make a list and for people to advance their votes to elect leaders on a list. That is not the way to go. We don't need elected leaders at this stage. We need leaders who people follow. So that is what we need at this stage. And the more of those leaders that people simply follow out of their own free will, come out of this lockdown COVID-19 crisis, the better. Yes, that's all. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you, Reino. We've been on for just over an hour. We've at one stage had 1,370 people viewing. It's incredible. We now have over 1,200 people watching still. Thank you everyone for coming on. I try not to make the live streams longer than an hour. There's quite a few things that were discussed. So firstly, just to know that the Liberty Fighters Network, you can go to their website. You can see all their posts there. There will be a class action suit. I will let you know. I'll speak to Reino when that's ready. We can do a quick live stream, Reino, to just explain to the people what to do. But you can go to the website, to the Liberty Fighters Network website. You can just Google it and you'll find all the details. The Facebook page you can go and like as well. And then support them. Remember, Reino is not just in the High Court all the time. He's fighting for people on the ground continuously. People whose places of residence have been taken out from under them. There's many things that Liberty Fighters Network's fighting for. And the team that Reino is accumulating is going to make it possible for us to take the scientific side of this COVID-19 pandemic as declared by the government, to actually take that to court and challenge it. And I really look forward to that, Reino. I really believe that needs to be challenged, the PCR test especially. It's a good place to start, to take that to court, because so much is based on that at this stage. So I really want to thank everyone for coming on. Any last words for the people during this week? Any thoughts?
Thank you very much, Des, for your contributions as well, for getting the word out. Thanks to people like you and all those hundreds of other podcasters. I don't even want to mention all of them. Thank you very much for doing a great job getting the word out. And yeah, people, please support Des and all the others. Really, they're doing a great job. And it's not only us who's fighting the fight in the courts, but also the guys who are getting the message out to you, who's doing a magnificent job. Thank you very much, and God bless all of you. Thank you for the support and the contributions people have made. We really appreciate it a lot, and yes, God bless all of you.
Okay,
Thanks.
just so everyone knows, the bank details for the Liberty Fighters Network is in the description below this live stream video, so you can go there and make even a 10 or 20 rand donation towards them. It will help them greatly. Just remember, this is people funded. The Liberty Fighters Network has no large corporation supporting them. It's people funded. Just like the tour that I'm doing in the Double Days channel is people funded, and I really thank everyone for their contributions, and I want to thank you again, Reino, for everything that you're doing for the people of South Africa. It's something that I cannot do, and I appreciate that someone like you is willing to sit there in court, write the papers, and go through all the admin work, which no one sees. People don't see the admin behind everything that has to be done. So I really want to thank you for that.
Thank
And
you.
all the best to your family as well. Thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you. Thanks.
And yes, till the next video.